such a do or die. I believe that you can just try. And as the city stands and the stories high, gonna live my life. It's all around you.
That was so good. Dudes and dudettes, I wish you could see what I'm seeing right now. This is episode 135, and you have heard that now. Oh, I wasn't using it all the way in the 5 years of the podcast, but at least for the last year. No. Yeah, at least the last 50 or so episodes, I would say. But this time, played actually live in real time by the one and only Ben Drake. Welcome, Ben. Good to have you here. And that was, you don't even know how cool that was.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. No, I was quite nervous doing that. That's weird.
Were you?
Playing just for you, yeah.
Well, you played about 1 billion times, I'm sure, but that was so cool. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, this is episode 135 of The Anxious Truth. Thanks for coming by. And we're going to talk to Ben today. Ben is an absolute success story, a longtime podcast listener in the Facebook group, and wrote that song. It's his song, Afterglow, which is just the coolest thing ever.
Inspired by you.
I still don't know how that is, but it's such a cool story, and I appreciate it. I still don't know how that is, but nonetheless.
Well, it's inspired by, most of my music is inspired by the journey through panic and anxiety. And when I was writing that, I was thinking of you and the moment when you were saying, you know, not, excuse my French, but you were saying, F it, you know.
Yeah.
Once you get to that stage, that's when and I got to that stage, and that song is about you telling me, you know, do or die. You do it or you don't, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where it started to come from.
That was, I will tell you that you are one of, there's been 3 or 4 different times when I had one musician in New Zealand, such a super nice guy, who actually sampled some of my old podcasts and put it in.
I heard that. I think I heard that.
That was cool. Yeah. Jamie Denton. Who I don't think he's really a working musician. I think he's getting his PhD right now in some subject or another. Super nice guy. And he did a whole sort of a concept album talking about his journey through panic and anxiety. And he sampled, and I'll tell a funny story maybe at the end of how I got a copyright strike on my own voice on YouTube. Which was so interesting. So he did that, and a couple other folks have done similar things, which is super cool. But yours, Afterglow, is my favorite by far.
Thank you.
I remember when you sent it, the first time I listened to it, I'm not ashamed to admit it, it made me a little bit emotional. It was super cool. It was so cool. I was sitting in my kitchen by myself, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe this. So anyway.
It's funny because that song is quite popular. I mean, probably my most popular song I've done.
Really?
And it's just like a little, I wouldn't say it's a throwaway song, but it's just an acoustic song on the album.
Yeah, okay.
You know? It wasn't intended to be the most successful one I've got. But
yeah, and I guess as in your career, has that happened before? Like, oh, this is okay, but then everybody loves it. Or like, oh, this is my masterpiece, and everybody's like, meh.
Yeah, you can never really tell because it's subjective, isn't it? It's what the songs that are personal to me that I like, other people don't. So you can't second guess it. I just do them and put them out there and see what happens.
True. That's true. So let's get into it. Let's talk about your story of through anxiety and panic and your anxiety disorder. First of all, you are a working musician and have been for quite some time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my only job because there's no money in music, but it's
that's a shame.
It's something that I've been doing for the last 20 years.
Okay.
So I don't earn enough to retire or do it full time.
Yeah.
But it's not really for the money. It's for the passion.
Because you love it. So what started the whole ball rolling? I mean, how did the wheels fall off for you? What was your story?
I'd had panic attacks before when I was sort of teenage years, 18, 19. But it wasn't a disorder. It was just panic attacks. So it never stopped me doing anything. I just sort of white-knuckled through them.
Yeah.
And then in my sort of early 20s, it just went away. I don't know if I was so busy that I just distracted myself and never thought of it again. And then a bit later on in my life, I went through a bad situation with family issues and things like that. And it didn't actually happen at the time, but once that was sorted, about a year afterwards, these panic attacks started coming, and it slowly developed into a disorder. And I could feel agoraphobia creeping in.
Yeah.
I could feel myself not wanting to do anything, but it only ever stopped me once from doing what I was intending to do, and that was the first panic attack I had later on.
Right.
and it made me turn the car around and come back, and I just freaked out until I got through the door, and then I was okay.
Yeah.
And that was the only time. Every other time I've had it, I just white knuckled through. It never stopped me.
Yeah.
But until I found your group, I didn't know how to handle it. I had to deal with it. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you try to do? Were you one of those folks that kind of went down 16 different roads of solutions, or you just sort of grinned and, got through it?
Yeah, just grin and bared it, and just,
Yeah.
it was horrible. I mean, I remember my album launch. I think it was the second album, and I literally had a panic attack from the moment I got on stage. I think I played sort of 30 seconds of the first song, really excited to do it, and it hit me, and it stayed with me the whole set. I just wanted to get off that stage.
You played an entire set, like in the middle of the sea. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Panic attack. It's the only time that's happened. I've had panic attacks before on stage, but it's lasted one song or half a song and it would go.
Yeah.
But this was the whole set, 45 minutes of just sheer panic.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get off the stage, and I knew I couldn't. And I think it was the pressure of everyone was there to see me. It was my album launch.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a little bit of pressure, I'm sure, for a performer also, So there's the usual nerves that go into it, I'm sure, but then maybe that contributed, who knows. But I think that's an important point, though. I mean, if I can interrupt for a second, you played an entire 45-minute set of, I'm guessing, original music, like in the middle of a panic attack. So for those that are thinking like, well, when it happens, I just can't do anything. I must, lay on the sofa and cover my head. Yeah. Clearly, as much as maybe that's what you would have wanted to, you didn't do that. And you played. How did it turn out? I mean, I'm sure in your mind it turned out terribly, but
because someone was there filming it. It was so much pressure because it was doing videos for songs and stuff, so it was all being filmed.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I watched it back, fine, nothing. No one could tell.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing, isn't it?
It's right. And even when, as I say, I've had panic attacks before, and it's normally the first song, and it's like, as Holly was saying, you get so nervous before. It's anticipatory anxiety.
Yeah.
But the first song, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm on autopilot because I'm so nervous. And when I finish, people go, they don't even know, It's just, it's funny how you're so insular and you're so thinking everyone can see how panicked you are.
Yeah.
And no one can tell.
And then you're literally doing things that require like tremendous levels of skill. I think any human being would agree. Like you're playing guitar, you're singing at the same time. You have to remember chord changes and melodies and lyrics and, just the automatic. I'm sure it was automatic for you because this is music that inside and out, clearly because you composed it. But yeah.
It's obviously there's rehearsals involved. So when you're on muscular memory,
Yeah.
You're just on autopilot. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you get through 45 minutes worth of panic on the stage with video cameras and everything rolling, and everything turns out okay. How else did it impact, your life, your career, all of those things?
It started. I mean, it's very. What's the word? It's like in a selfish way. It impacted me. It didn't impact outside, as in it never stopped me. So I used to just.
Yeah.
I didn't want to travel. I didn't want to go to London, but I did.
Okay.
And I white knuckled sitting on a train. I white knuckled getting off the train, and then I'd had moments where I'd forget about it and I'd be fine, and then I'd realize where I am, and then I'd panic.
Yeah.
So it never stopped me, but it was very, I just did it through white knuckling and feeling awful, and it was just a horrible experience because you don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Not a great way to live in the end.
No,
yeah. And I'm surprised. I think there are a fair number of people who are listening and who listen to the podcast, or even in the the community surrounding it, that probably have a similar story. Not everybody becomes agoraphobic. Not everybody retreats. Like people still just sort of power through their life the best they can, feeling that way, which is a hard way to live.
Yeah, I mean, I can. When you speak about derealization, I had that. I didn't know what that was. That freaked me out. But I suppose at that point I'd found you, and I knew about it. As soon as I had it, I realized what it was.
Yeah.
But it was frightening, and as again, it never stopped me. I used to walk over the park, and then I used to think, right, re-engage with the world, touch leaves. It seems crazy now.
Yeah.
But it just brought me back into the world, kind of thing.
Yeah, I get it.
And agoraphobic, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to walk over the park, which is 10 minutes from my house. I was frightened to do it. But I tell you, it never stopped me. I made sure I did it.
You did it. Yeah, you did it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think in a way you're like living, walking sort of example of how just doing the things doesn't necessarily solve the problem. You were doing the
No.
things. Yeah.
I was doing them, but it was totally the wrong thing to do. It's white knuckling. So it wasn't,
Yeah.
it was making me more frightened in a way because I was making it worse by white knuckling. So
Yeah.
the situation of walking up the park become even more horrific.
Yeah.
Until I, yeah.
Yeah. A bunch of folks have actually asked this, and I forget because that's a common phrase, you know, in English here in the US and in the UK is the white knuckling thing. What we're referring to is when you're so afraid that you're just clenching your hands and your knuckles turn white because you're gripping so hard. That's white knuckling. It's just a little figure of speech that talks about what you do when you're super afraid and you tense your whole body. So what changed? What started to change? How did you start to do things differently?
I just found you got, I mean, I was Googling what was going on. You know, I'd not been to the doctor at that point. And I just was on YouTube and I found you and Billy and Holly. And I think when I joined the group, I think it was like, I don't think it was hundreds of people. I think it was very small.
Yeah, probably.
But what inspired me is what you said, that you'd gone through it. And I thought, so someone's been through it and actually recovered.
Yeah.
So I knew it was possible. And I just decided to absolutely follow everything you were saying to do because you'd done it. And so I did. Whatever you were saying to do, I made sure I did it.
I'm still not used to that. It's been a while, but I'm still not used to that. And so it just became a matter of not fighting. Was that the idea?
Eventually, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I'm doing what you're saying, but I don't know how to do it. And then when that clicks, you finally realize, that's what you mean. And then then you start to relax into it rather than fight against it. Because as you see, everyone says on the forum that, how do I do it? I'm so frightened. And you say, well, you've got to be frightened. Yeah, but I think the changing point for me is when you said, I would rather die than live this way. I remember that.
Yeah.
So I think I've got to that stage where I think, no, I'd rather be dead. This is not a life I'm living. So if it's going to kill me, then let it kill me, whatever I'm doing. So if I'm going to die anyway, what does it matter?
Right.
And it just, the anxiety went from there to sort of from 9 and 10 to 6 and 7, and then gradually down and down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big turning point. And one of the things that it's so hard for people to get, and you lived it. And I like the way you're describing it. So people are always looking for a way to get it. Like, but how do you do that? How? Because they don't want to do it feeling the way they feel. And what's always hard to tell people, like, you don't get it until after you do it.
Yeah.
You do it first and then you get it. Like, you can't find a way to think your way into being okay with surrendering to, like, all right, I'll let it just kill me. No one's okay with that. Like, none of us are.
That's right.
Yeah. We're not okay with it. No one loves that. You do it because you just, that's a point of decision, and you do it and then you get it. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like what you said about you're not going to die, but you've got to be prepared to die.
Yeah.
People are like, but I don't want to die. You're not going to.
Right.
But you've got to be prepared. It's so easy to say and so hard to do. But once you do that, you can't be afraid of panic and anxiety.
Right.
Eventually.
Well, once
you learn that,
once you know that it will not do, and for some people, it's like you feel like you're going to die. For some people, they are worried they're going to pass out or whatever your particular fear is, they're going to embarrass themselves. Yeah. When you discover that it has already done the worst thing that it knows how to do, and it can't do the thing you fear, it is almost impossible to stay afraid of it. Like,
it was a turning point of like you say, right, if it's not death, if it's passing out, whatever it is, okay, let it happen. What is the worst that can happen? You're going to pass out, okay?
Okay. Right.
Then you will. And then you'll get up and your body will reset and you'll go on with your day. So once you think, okay, I don't mind, you can't panic. You're not afraid of it.
It's difficult to get to that point then. Or even when it happens, which I've talked about before. Really? That's me. I can't record a podcast now without getting some call about, like, a car warranty or the IRS wanting to arrest me or some sort of crap scam call. They just come all day long. Anyway,
but I can't turn mine off, so I'll probably get the same in a minute.
Yeah, it's a thing. So, that's true. It's almost impossible. Even if it does happen, then do you find, like, can you still experience you're still experiencing anxiety sometimes, maybe panic sometimes, or near panic? I mean, it's
Oh
a
yeah, absolutely,
normal part of
absolutely.
being
I
human.
mean, it's so different now because it's not a disorder anymore. I mean, I had a panic attack the other day. Panic attack, the pre-panic.
Yeah.
If 2 or 3 years ago, that would have been a panic attack, but I know what it is. So it feels. That's what I want to say to people in a group. Like, you want to say, yeah, I feel terrible when it happens. I don't like it,
Right.
but I just accept it and it goes rather than fight it and it stays there.
Yeah.
And I think that I mean, I'm going through a bad time at the minute. I don't know if you know, lost my dad and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I saw that. Very sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And it's so I expect to feel it at the minute, and it feels horrible, but
Yeah.
it's not a disorder anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to be afraid of how you feel, or
No.
even like, the emotions that you have to experience, with a major loss like that. It's clearly, that's one of the top 5 most stressful things a human being go through, with the loss of a loved one. And you're in
Yeah.
it right now. So like,
And then last week I lost my dog as well, so it's double.
oh, dude.
It's like a double whammy.
Yeah. That's not good. I'm
But
sorry.
yeah, but so you expect to feel these emotions, and I don't the tools that I've learned from you,
Yeah.
from the group, help me in life now. So that's helped me deal with the grief. It's a valuable lesson to learn. And I've said this to Holly before, that I'm glad I went through it. If you'd have told me that while I was going through it, I would
Yeah.
have said you're crazy. But coming out of it, it's like, I'm glad I'm stronger now
Yeah.
for going through it.
Yeah. And, I think, that thing that says, well, you learn lessons that are helping you get through some hard times now, which is very true. We don't, I think sometimes people get confused, and I've heard people say like, well, how am I supposed to float through? Like, I lost my grandma or something terrible happened. How am I supposed to float through that? You're not. Like, it's going to be very sad. And, those are things that you have to feel. You just don't have to be afraid of that. Those are the lessons we learn. We don't learn to be inhuman. We learn to be better humans, which I think is something
Exactly.
I started saying a little bit more and more.
The anxiety and panic are normal feelings. We're human. We get anxiety and panic.
Yeah.
It's what we're doing is making it not a disorder anymore.
Yeah.
You're not avoiding it. When you get it, it's uncomfortable. You don't like it, but you don't make it worse.
And then it's over. So when you find, I mean, for me, and it can happen a couple of times a year, maybe, I guess it depends. It's an alarm for me that says you're not a machine. You even have to slow down. Like that's, I know what it is at this point. If it happens to me, it means I'm really not sleeping and I'm really just running myself down.
Yeah.
If it happens, I don't care about the next time it might happen. Have you discovered that for yourself?
Yes. You don't even think about it. Like,
No.
it happens and then
maybe
it's gone.
Maybe it'll never happen again, or maybe it'll happen in an hour. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whatevs. Yeah. So, and that makes all the difference. So what's different in your life now? I mean, you were still doing the things, but I mean, of course we're still in the middle of a global ridiculousness, but that no one wants to be in, of course. But you were trapped in, you were in Malta? You were trapped in Malta for like 3 months or something during the pandemic?
Yes, I mean, like now, obviously, with Dad's passing, it was a godsend because I'd spent so much time there. But I remember I messaged you, didn't I? Because I'd recovered from anxiety and panic disorder.
Yeah.
But I was a bit nervous about flying on a plane on my own. I mean, I'd been on there with my partner.
Right.
But I was quite nervous, and I had a bit of anticipatory anxiety about flying on my own.
Yeah.
And I remember doing it, and then I had none. Like I did beforehand. Once I got on the plane, fine.
Yeah.
And it was like the last hurdle, I guess, of crossing that bridge.
It is for many people. I would have to say for me, and I didn't have to fly for many, many years. I wouldn't have called it 100% until I started flying again, which I didn't have to do. So I had no reason to. That was years later.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was years later. So that's cool. That's a great story. But the fact that we're in the middle of a global pandemic, you're stuck in another country, you're stuck in Malta, you're not home in the UK. Yeah. Clearly a stressful, upsetting, ridiculous upheaval in everybody's life. Yeah. Did you find that you handled it just fine? No? It was like, oh, well, here I am. I'm here, I guess.
Yeah, it was fine. Didn't mind it at all. And it was even flying back. My dad was saying to me, because he knew I had panic and anxiety before, and he was saying like, "Well, you're flying back during it because I basically got a repatriation flight from the Maltese government."
Yeah.
And he was going, "Well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't fly during these times." And I said, "Well, I've got my partner at home and stuff." So,
yeah.
And I wasn't nervous at all.
That's amazing when you think about where you were. Afraid to walk in the park 10 minutes from your house.
I know.
Really, really great. So I don't know.
Crazy.
You have a great story, and then you turned it into, and I'm getting all kinds of pings and notifications here. I gotta try and turn the sound down. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I don't know. What else would you add to this? I mean, the struggle, you're glad you went through it. You've said all the right things, dude. I couldn't have asked you. You're a great interview. You're easy.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I see like Ingvild and Danny and Nick, and they're posting, helping people in the group.
Yeah.
And I think I'd love to do that. But as a songwriter, I can write stuff down, but I can't. I try and help people, and I can't. I write it out, and I think that doesn't sound right. And by the time I reread it, someone else has posted. I think, oh yeah, they've said it better. So it's that.
Well,
I'd love to help people, but I don't know how to explain it very well.
your contribution is always good, no matter what it is. So you're helping. Trust me, this is helping. People will hear this and they will help. This is a total success story. So, what do you got going on? Like, what's coming next? Plug some stuff.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, it's so difficult in these times. You can't even gig. I mean, I've got a gig booked in next month, but we're on lockdown now, so everything's cancelled up until then. So that'll probably get cancelled.
Yeah,
I'm working on another album, but I can't get in the studio because it's closed.
Oh man.
So it's just riding the storm, really.
Yeah.
For the minute,
What
like
about
everyone?
work? Is that are you working right now or?
Yeah, that works okay. Yeah, I can manage with that. Our government's been pretty good with sort of payouts of people stuck at home. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like I say, it's just riding the storm and getting through it.
You do what you could do. Well, you've done an amazing job of getting through crap and, coming out the other side and being better for it and learning the lessons. Like, you're like textbook. Like, you could hold you up as a shining example of how it works.
Well, I've always said, I'd love to say to you, and now I can. I've seen you face to face that without you, I wouldn't be where I am now. So that is from that, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome, my friend. I was just a messenger. You took it and ran with it. So I'm proud of you. Thanks for coming on, man. Like, play us out.
Pleasure.
So you know what? Before you do that, let me do the typical stuff. If you're watching, first of all, where can people find you? Because people ask all the time, what's that song?
Okay. So if you go to Facebook, it's bendrakemusic.com.
Okay.
That's the Facebook page, but also bendrakemusic.com is the website, which Billy has actually done for me.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So he's updated it. So it's still, I mean, it's up live, but we're still working on it, but he's now taken it over for me, which is good.
Oh, that's super. I had no idea. I've been sending people to the Facebook page. Now I can send them to your shiny new website made by Billy Cross.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll be done. It's more me. I've got to get back on that because sort of with dad going, it's been a bit up in the air, but that'll be finished soon. So yeah, it's Facebook or Spotify.
Yeah.
So I record under the name the Ben Drake Collective because over the years I've used bands behind me, so different musicians, and we're all a collective of musicians. So you can find me on Spotify there. The Ben Drake Collective. You're
like Steely Dan, just bringing the best musicians you could find at the time. And do yourself.
Exactly right.
I think one of your collaborators had reached out to me not too long ago. I cannot remember his name now. And he was all excited about like, oh, we should do something with musicians. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. We never hooked up on it, but
I wonder who that was.
Yeah, I'd have to look through my messages. He came from you. I know that. I don't remember who it was. And, it was a good idea. But
I've sent a few people your way. My cousin I sent you away in Canada. I'm working on some stuff with Holly, but she's difficult to nail down because she's so busy.
Well, yeah, I guess having a 3-year-old or whatever would tend to do that. But for those of you who are listening, so Holly you've seen me record with Holly, and Holly is one of the admins in the Facebook group. So like, you guys working together would just be a total rush.
I love Holly's stuff. Ever. I love her voice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you guys do great together. So listen, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you taking the time for sure. I appreciate everybody coming by to listen again. A little shorter this week, but that's okay. And I have to ask, of course, if you're listening on iTunes or any place that you can rate or review the podcast, do that because it helps other people find it. And when more people find it, more people get help. Thanks for coming by. You want to play us out, dude? I'll fade us out.
Yeah.
All right, let's give Ben a chance to put a pick back and do all his stuff. Turn the reverb on. All right,
put
guys.
My reverb on.
Reverb. There you go. That's what we're looking for right there. So thanks for coming by to listen. We'll see you guys next week and enjoy Afterglow. Facebook.com/Ben Drake. Ben Drake Music.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ben Drake Music. Yeah.
Go for it, man.
It's in the afterglow. It's in the